but the Heiner 79. Since 1984, Cafe Latte has been a hotspot for American eats and desserts. Enjoy gourmet salads, sandwiches, and soups with a unique cafeteria-style setup. Don't miss the pizza and wine bar offering gourmet pizzas and over 30 wines by the glass. Explore the bakery for fresh treats. Located off Victoria and Grand, more at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live on AM 950, the Progressive Voice of Minnesota, in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. And in Seattle at night, 1150 AM KKNW. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. It is Friday, isn't it? Brett is with us today. Brett, I'm not crazy. It is, right?
You don't know that it's Tuesday? I got my Coolacan interview coming up in about an hour from now. I mean,
all right. You see,
Stein is tomorrow.
This is why HR talks to you. Okay. I'm just discombobulated because twice today, I have my phone, right? And this is everybody. But now, I mean, I'm trying not to be the old guy with technology, but I just don't know how this happens. My phone's completely off. I actually am firing it back up right now. My phone is off. I put it in my pocket. Next thing you know, oh my gosh, I called somebody. Who did I call? Oh my God, it's my boss. Oh my God, what was I doing? I was in the shower singing the Divinals. I touched myself. No, this is not how I want this to go. No, although the Divinals, a great song indeed. Who doesn't love a weird one about, self-gratification? But, how does that happen, Brett? You're the tech guy here. How do I put a phone? I mean, I do this, I do the click and it's off. And next thing you know, it's like you called your ex-girlfriend from 45 years ago. Oh no, what was I doing at that point? Oh, that's right. I was doing a soliloquy of Romeo and Juliet from Shakespeare. No. How does this happen?
I think AI has something to do with it.
It could.
Maybe
actually.
Grok had something to do.
Was it a tech? Mecha Hitler? Wasn't it Mecha Hitler on Grok? Is it Mecha Hitler? Is that our new blame game? Honey, it wasn't me. It was Mecha Hitler. Which, by the way, worst timeline ever. Seriously, just stop. If you've got something where you have to, I don't know, use a ball-peen hammer to smack on the computer hard drive to stop Mecha Hitler, you've done something wrong here. Anyway, it's more stress than I need, to say the least. I mean, let's see. Did I accidentally call anyone right now? Oh yeah, here it's my proctologist. Oh, okay. I was singing Gold Digger, wasn't I? Oh no. What was I? God, stop. How does this happen? 952-946-6205. You see, I'm just like you. As a matter of fact, I'm probably dumber than you. The things that happen to me, it's more of the circus sideshow. Hey, come see the freak. 952-946-6205. Canada, I'm going to give Canada a win here, Brett, on something, because as Trump is sitting there going, pretty man up there, don't like pretty man. Melania like pretty man. I don't like pretty man. I'm going to give them 35% tariff. That's how he's doing it. Canada is. They've released a tourism board of Quebec, Canada, launched a new ad campaign aimed at encouraging Americans to visit. The advertisement is called. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'll describe what it is. It pokes a little fun at the U.S. visitors. It depicts a hotel worker. Basically, a person comes on in and he says, "Yeah, I'm here to check in," and she, of course, speaks French because it's Quebec. And he says, "I'm sorry, I don't speak French. I'm not from here." And she goes, "Oh," in perfect English, by the way. "Oh, where are you coming from?" And he goes, "America." And immediately the woman's face changes. Kind of gets more serious. She pushes a red button underneath the counter, and you think to yourself, okay, what's going on? It actually opens the door from her behind the counter. She runs out to the American and gives him a hug. And the guy is like stunned, and you see him lean in to hug her. Oh, thank you. The ad's called "Come Hug It Out." It has since gone viral, with Oscar-winning actress Sharon Stone commenting positively on it. It is a very good ad. As a matter of fact, if I'm every province of Canada, I am doing a version of that one. Oh, God. It makes me want to go visit Canada. I want to go visit Canada. Hug it out. Will somebody in Canada hug me? They're not hugging anymore down here. They're not. It's evil and wrong. There's no more hugs. Yeah, don't even look at me. I'm not giving you a hug after your snarky comments earlier.
No hugs here either.
No, that's America. It's not about repressed feelings about my parents. It's about that hugs are for wussies. That sort of thing. By the way, did I just actually, in 7 words or 8 words there, surmise America to a T? It's not about my resentment towards my parents. It's about the fact that emotions are for sissy boys. Okay, thank you. All right, there you go.
You about summed up the president there, yes.
Yeah, well, and just
daddy issues for sure, yes.
Issues. I mean, he is a cornucopia of delight, isn't he? Anyway, well done, Canada. I send respect. Also, I should give our good friend Brittlestar, who we've had on the show a few times to talk about Canada things. He's got a new t-shirt out that says honorary Canadian, which I am going to order. I'm going to get one of those. I don't blame him. Things have not gone well here. As a matter of fact, imagine, you're at the theater, right? And all of a sudden, the Phantom of the Opera. And it's Laura Loomer. And she is coming, and now you realize you're at Les Mis. It's not the Phantom of the Opera, but you kind of got scared there for a second. Is this where I get abducted? White House aides stepped in to prevent far-right activist and Phantom of the Opera, Laura Loomer, from chatting with President Trump while he was watching Les Mis, according to a report. I mean, does he watch Les Mis and root for the wrong side? I mean, why don't they lock that guy up?
You're assuming he's even watching it. I think that guy's got the attention span of I don't know what, but he's not paying attention.
Sorry, Frenchies are speaking right now. I have no idea what they're doing, but Truth Social's getting lit up. Oh gosh, look, the innkeeper's happy. Trump at Les Mis. The president last month attended a performance of the show at the Kennedy Center. Woo! Loomer, a 9/11 conspiracy theorist, self-described proud Islamophobe, and also a big fan of that plastic surgery. She was also there, not haunting the theater, as you might imagine. Shag and Scoop are on the case. She walked up the stairs to the VIP section where Trump and Melania sat. Really? With the Loomer rumor out there that she is, clang, clang, clang goes a trolley with the president, Before she reached them, I'm going to guess kind of grabbing at them like Nosferatu. Sorry. The White House aide intervened, I'm guessing with a cross. Although Loomer insisted she had permission to visit the VIP section, the aide didn't back down, got some garlic as well. That took care of it. That's when the Kennedy Center employee joined the pair, blockaded the route to the president. Furious, although you couldn't tell by her facial expression. She descended back down the stairs, the outlet said. The Independent has contacted Loomer for comment. I'm going to guess it was something like, remember, make sure you call after sunset. It's hard in the summer. You get those longer days. You're just not around that much. You got to get into get some rest. The incident comes after Loomer met with Trump in April and urged him to fire members of the National Security Council. Yeah, like normal people do, who had been disloyal to him. The president ended up terminating several, including 3 senior directives at the time. So, yeah, I don't blame the aides for, back, I say. Also, I should mention, I have been wondering where I'm sometimes a fan of the gossipy news, not like news gossip. Like I could care less about who Ryan Reynolds' wife is. I don't care about any of that stuff. I don't care about, STD Island. What is the name of that reality show that they're on? That just, anyway, I don't, it should be called STD Island. Let's be honest. But I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. I could care less, but I do find kind of gossipy news. I followed the Australian story of the woman who was found guilty of murder because she fed her in-laws the death cap mushrooms in a beef Wellington. Hey, I'd be a goner at this point too. But, I'm not going to turn. You're going to turn down beef Wellington? No, you're crazy, man. That's how you take me out, man, right there. Hey, I'm walking down the street. Hey, look, it's beef Wellington. Who left this here? Yeah, and a fork. Great. That's the end of Matt. Anyway, I've talked about that. And once again, she was guilty the second the doctor's like, oh my God, you probably ate poisonous mushrooms. We need to get you to the hospital. And she left the hospital. Yeah. Okay. You're not going to get past that one. So I'm wondering where my next gossipy news is coming from. And I unfortunately have a story of a death, but okay, here you go. The wife of Lufthansa Airlines CEO slammed an SUV into a young woman who was walking across a pedestrian crossing in Sardinia, police say. And that would be Italy. Isn't it Italy? Yeah, that's Italy. That's not the one that belongs to France. Okay, it's Italy. Vivian Spohr, really? Spohr, wife of Karsten Spohr, is accused of running over and killing Gia Costa, 24-year-old babysitter and resident of the island of Sardinia. The 51-year-old was driving a BMW X5 SUV on Tuesday at around 1 p.m. with her daughter in the passenger seat when the crash occurred. Witnesses told police they saw Costa extend her arm to signal to the driver to stop, but instead watched as the vehicle accelerated. Yikes, striking Costa. Emergency services on the scene attempted to revive the Costa for about 20 minutes before pronouncing her dead at the scene as a result of severe head trauma, according to reports in Italy. The same report suggests authorities are investigating whether Spohr was on her cell phone at the time of the incident. Her alcohol and drug tests were negative. It's good to a point, but obviously if you're on the cell phone, you're preoccupied. Authorities are considering charges of road homicide, the newspaper said. The Spohr family had been spending time at a home that they own in the island close to the community of Porto Cervo. After the collision, the family returned to Germany. I don't think they're going to be owning that place for too much longer. Karsten Spohr. Now, did she return to Germany? Okay. How does she get back to Germany if she's a suspect in a what was it? Road homicide. So yeah. Karsten Spohr is the CEO of Deutsche Lufthansa AG since May of 2014. He runs the Lufthansa Group, comprising the business segments of Network Airlines, Eurowings, Logistics, and MRO. They have over 100,000 employees nationwide. They have 2 daughters, according to his company biography. The lawyer stated the German newspaper that the exact circumstances are being investigated. But hey, they're back in Germany, so yeah. Yeah, we'll have to see where this one goes. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show on a Friday.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having their annual sale for the entire month of July. All of their indoor and outdoor fireplace products and accessories are at the lowest price of the year.
Did you know that now there's also a 30% federal tax credit when you install an efficient wood heating stove or fireplace? At Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, we can explain and show you the many options. We have the Twin Cities' widest selection of wood-burning stoves and fireplaces.
I love my wood stove. We enjoy the sense of well-being we get by cutting and splitting wood to warm our home. Wood is our choice, but you may have other choices at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Whether transforming an existing fireplace or adding something new, a clean-burning wood, gas, or electric fire can have you sitting pretty and cozy by the fire.
Visit Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces at Riverside and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis or at woodlandstoves.com. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, since 1977, out-of-the-ordinary products and services to make fire work for you.
Rudy Luther Toyota is the dealer you can trust. Go to rudyluthertoyota.com to browse their inventory of new and certified pre-owned vehicles. Style, performance, and reliability. You can find it all at Rudy Luther. With every new and certified pre-owned vehicle, you'll get a Luther Advantage card, save 10 cents per gallon at the pump, and get $6 Works car washes at holiday station stores. That's right. You can get a great vehicle and help stretch your budget even further. Rudy Luther Toyota, the southeast corner of 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
짱이가 좋아하는 랜덤 게임, 랜덤 게임, 게임 스타트. 아파트, 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 아파트.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. You know, it is very enjoyable to watch the MAGA crowd rip themselves apart because this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. Okay, so we do, I guess, owe the creator of Mecha Hitler some credit. Elon Musk. Okay, really? Okay. When he basically said, oh, the reason why he hasn't released it is because he's number one on that Epstein list hit parade. Once again, Trump and his wanted to be able to use the threat of the Epstein list to try to scare Democrats. Kind of like the scene in The Untouchables where he goes after the judge and says he wasn't on the list. He said he didn't know that. That sort of thing. Just go on out there and start scaring Democrats, trying to scare people into doing it, while at the same time never releasing it because not only Trump, but other prominent Republicans are more than likely on the Epstein list. And when Elon Musk called that out, they ended up being at the end of the road where basically either they had to produce a list, which they were going to have to really produce a list that had a lot of whiteout on it, which they didn't want to do. And so Pam Bondi, the attorney general, the worst attorney general this country has ever had, Pam Bondi basically said, oh, there was no list to protect Trump. Once again, the chief law enforcement agent, part of a conspiracy to bury the evidence, as she herself said she had the list on her desk, on her own desk. And she decided to sound like an idiot. Well, she sounded like Pam Bondi, but she basically went with that. And yeah, there you go. Since then, it has been, there's a lot of MAGA that are really upset because this was supposed to be it, because their fantasy is that this is all Democrats, every Democrat's on that list, every Democrat, it's not a single Republican. And now they're kind of confronted with the fact that, well, would they be hiding it so badly if it wasn't predominantly Republicans, and namely the guy with all the photos of him with young girls around Jeffrey Epstein? And reminder, Donald Trump 7 times was on Jeffrey Epstein's child sex plane going to Jeffrey Epstein's child sex island, and on multiple flights, there are underage girls with him. Yeah. Alan Dershowitz came on out, and he says, I know who's on the list, but I've been sworn to secrecy. Yeah, considering your name pops up on a lot of those speculation lists, I imagine you are sworn to secrecy. Allegedly there, Alan. Allegedly. Let's be honest about it. Bogino, Dan Bogino, the deputy director of the FBI, he has said that he does not he might not even come back to the FBI. He's so upset about this. And apparently a fight he had with Pam Bondi over this, that there's a legit chance he might not come back. He might quit his job and just go back to the private sector. It doesn't help as well that there now seems to, a lot of people are focusing on the fact that the video of Jeffrey Epstein's cell, which somehow, some way doesn't show him either committing suicide or being killed, has been released, and people are pointing out there's some missing minutes here. The Department of Justice now has some explaining to do after a forensic examination of the Epstein video from prison released to show that the accused pedophile Jeffrey Epstein died by his own hands, shows clear evidence of being manipulated in some manner. This is according to a report from Wired, which, while not making any judgment on whether the way the video was put together or was done maliciously, suggested DOJ and Attorney General Pam Bondi needs to come clean about how the video was pulled and created. Late Friday, Wired reported that metadata shows manipulation on the moment that has created concerns where it appears to be a gap. Wired's, one of their experts wrote that the video appears to have come from two sources, and metadata embedded in the video and analyzed by Wired and independent video forensic experts shows that rather than being a direct export from the prison surveillance video system, the footage was modified, likely using a professional editing tool, Adobe Premiere Pro. They can find yeah. So basically, the video footage they have isn't the actual footage from the camera. It's footage that was put into an Adobe Premiere Pro, and then it came on out. Questions about the video and the DOJ's surprising assertion there was no evidence of an Epstein client list has created a firestorm for the DOJ and the White House that has even thrown Trump off his game as he snapped at reporters on Tuesday during a telling exchange. The dispute of the video has also driven a wedge between Bondi and high-ranking DOJ official Dan Bongino, who reportedly stormed out of a meeting. Wired urged caution and jumping to conclusions, writing the video may have simply been processed for public release using available software with no modifications beyond stitching together two clips, but the absence of a clear explanation for the processing the file using professional editing software complicates the Justice Department's narrative. In a case already clouded by suspicion, the ambiguity surrounding how the file was processed is likely to provide fresh fodder for the conspiracy theories. Wired report adds, working with two independent video forensics experts, Wired examined the 21 gigabyte files released by the DOJ. Using the metadata tool, reporters analyzed both exchangeable image file format and extensible metadata platform data to identify the signs of post-processing. Yeah, that sounds a little incriminating, doesn't it? And plus the fact that, once again, that people have noticed that, you know, this is a video that's supposed to be whatever it is, and I don't have the exact numbers. It's supposed to be like 12 hours long, and it's actually 11 hours, 58 minutes, and 22 seconds, and there doesn't seem to be any of the explanation of where those extra minutes are. Plus, and I don't know this, Brett, how familiar are you with the Adobe Premiere Pro? Did you do anything like that?
I've used that before, and I'm just amused that they thought they could get away with using Adobe Premiere and no one would figure it out.
Well, is it a pretty first? I mean, I know the name, so it's got to be a pretty basic formatting.
I mean, it's industry standard, but it's not anything like that's out of the reach for your average person that could use it.
Okay. So it's basically just me doing something, filtering it on my iMac and thinking to myself, this is professional. This is audio from the 1870s. That's not
you
true.
Can do a little more than that. It's a little more professional grade, but yeah, it's pretty accessible for your average person. It doesn't take too much training to figure it out.
And so someone edited the video. Okay. We know Donald Trump was a good friend of Jeffrey Epstein. We know Donald Trump has been hyper creepy around young girls. I mean, ever since he had the Miss America pageant and the Miss Teen America pageant and the comments he made about his own daughter, we know he was on the child sex plane. We know that he was around Epstein and underage girls. We know all of this. You know, it's clear that Trump was more than likely, how about I say it like that, having sex with minors. It more than likely is the case. So I think that what we're seeing now is that Elon Musk has put these guys into a corner, and they'd have to kind of look like complete idiots, which they have no problem doing, to try to cover for the fact that Trump himself is, enemy number one. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
I keep coming back.
Come on, it's true. Work is almost bearable when the Stephanie Miller Show is on. AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
The Zero Res Master Certified Area Rug Cleaning Team in St. Louis Park is having the biggest cleaning sale of the year. Clean one rug and get 20% off. 2 rugs, 25% off. 3 area rugs get 50% off your area rug cleaning purchase. Pickup and delivery options are available. We're getting into the heat of the summer. You're going to be having barbecues, friends and family over at your house. Your rug called that's tired of being stomped on, spilled on, sneezed on, and ignored like a salad at a barbecue. We treat your rugs gently, even the fancy ones you bought on vacation and immediately regretted. Wool, synthetic, braided, patterned, passed down from grandma. If it lays flat and collects dirt, we clean it. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 9520-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Spell it backward or forward spells the same. It still spells, dang, that rug looks good. Zero Res.
The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Live music is taking over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio. Head over on Tuesday, July 15th. It's D.B. Cooper. Wednesday, July 16th. It's The Ice Holes. And on Thursday, July 17th, it's American Bootleg. Music runs from 5:30 to 8 p.m. and reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended. And the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups with no room fees and no minimum spending requirements. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, outdoor live music is back at the Park Tavern.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067 or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Are your remote workers putting your company at risk? Not sure what steps to take to secure your data? Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide with the 5 steps to securely work from home. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 86, tonight partly cloudy with a low around 65, and Saturday sunny with a high near 79. Since 1984, Cafe Latte has been a hotspot for American eats and desserts. Enjoy gourmet salads, sandwiches, and soups with a unique cafeteria-style setup. Don't miss the pizza and wine bar offering gourmet pizzas and over 30 wines by the glass. Explore the bakery for fresh treats. Located off Victoria and Grand, more at cafelatte.com.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. In the nighttime hours in Seattle, 1150 AM KKNW, and of course in Minneapolis, St. Paul, on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Friday. Nice to have you with us. I hope you have a good weekend headed your way. 952-946-6205. So I'm going to open up the memory book in this next segment here, because there are some stories that I'd covered and we talked about, but we haven't talked about them in a while, and I'm kind of wondering a little bit about an update. Now, what brought this about was a story out of Minnesota. Well, it's not really out of Minnesota. It's out of Tennessee, but like any for Chicago and for Seattle, let me make sure I understand something. There is nothing more Minnesotan than trying to find a Minnesota angle on any news story that you publish. And so if somebody lived for 3 minutes in this state, that will be the lead of the story. It's just kind of the way it is. But it's a story actually out of Tennessee, but it involved a former Kitson County Sheriff's deputy. That's up in the northwestern part of the state. And his wife, they're charged with animal cruelty and human trafficking in Tennessee. James and Kelly Hewitt remain in custody since their arrest on July 2nd, following a significant investigation related to trafficking or forced labor in Giles County, Tennessee. Sheriff's Office there had announced this. The agency said in a statement that the 1 second here, they said in a statement that 8 people were recused and placed in a safer environment. Giles County Sheriff Joe Purvis told the local newspaper that the victims ranged in age from 5 to 29. Okay, that was the first thing that kind of caught my attention. Like, boy, okay. And said 5, really? I mean, so this is, if you're, human trafficking, what's going on here? And they said more charges and victims are to be expected. James Hewitt is 65. He served as a deputy in the northwest corner of the state of Minnesota for 15 years and over 11 years, and as an inspector with the U.S. Customs Office. I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I believe that Kitson County is on the border of Canada and North Dakota up there. So, Kelly Hewitt, his wife, 63, was a dog breeder on their former farm in Lancaster, Minnesota, where they graduated from high school and raised a large family made up of biological and adopted children around the world. They moved to Nashville area in recent years where they are active in church and supporting orphanages. Okay. But at least one girl from a Haitian orphanage is listed as a victim in court records obtained by the Star Tribune. The Hewitts have each been charged with felony trafficking of forced labor and involuntary servitude. Okay. The Hewitts concealed the girl's Haitian birth certificate while forcing the victim to perform manual labor and harboring the victim from a Haitian orphanage, knowing that the victim would be subjected to involuntary servitude or manual labor. So they went to an orphanage, got this Haitian girl who's apparently trying to come here to get a better life, because Haiti is not exactly the best country to raise kids in. And she comes here, and apparently they basically took her out of the orphanage to turn her into involuntary servitude or manual labor. Well, let's just call it what it is, slave labor, by the sounds of it. And hid her birth certificate. Once again, you're an immigrant from another country. You need your documentation. Sounds like they took the documentation and said, unless this floor is shiny, you don't get it back. That sort of thing. That's at least the impression I'm getting here. The couple also faces 3 counts of animal cruelty and 1 count of aggravated cruelty to animals. I believe in being thorough in the old processing of this stuff here. Let's get back to the human slavery thing, okay? During the execution of the search warrant on July 2nd, agents found 44 dogs confined without water. Wow. 31 dogs outside without a dog houses. 8 chickens, a duck, a turkey were all in a state of starvation. Charges noted 1 turkey had already died. The Tibetan Mastiff dog was also found severely infested with fleas, causing it to be anemic and a substantial risk of death. The sheriff's office said that 15 agencies assisted in the investigation and the execution of the search warrant. The Department of Children's Services, Children Advocacy Center, Victim Services, and Animal Shelter and veterinarians all were involved. General Session Judge Robert Richardson Jr. on July 7th set the bond at $10,000 or $2,000 with conditions of house arrest, GPS trackers, no contact with minors or witnesses to cases, and surrender of passports and firearms. Okay, wait a second. You give me a $10,000 bond, and we're talking about slavery here? At least that's what the charges sound like. And a lot of animal abuse too. The Hewitts, who don't have criminal record in Minnesota, are set to take an initial court appearance on July 15th. Their enlisted attorney, Ashley Abram, did not return a request for comment. He served as a deputy for Kitson County Sheriff's Office from 2002 to 2017, which I think we now need to have some questions about what was going on in his house from 2002 to 2017. I'm just going to go back to this statement here. Hewitts concealed the girl's Haitian birth certificate while forcing the victim to perform manual labor and harboring the victim from a Haiti orphanage, knowing that the victim would be subject to involuntary servitude and manual labor. And we want to make sure, go back to the beginning of the story, that they were basically that 8 people were rescued and placed in a safer environment. They ranged in age from 5 to 29 years old. You hear how they were keeping animals. How do you think they were keeping the humans? And once again, there is this cloud of slavery over this, which is this. Can I just say, yesterday in my second hour, I had a story about a bus line where the driver told 2 black men that they had to be in the back of the bus. Seriously. Trump's America, man. Unbelievable. And now here you have a story which, once again, sounds like a Haitian girl, which definitely not Caucasian, was kept for manual labor purposes, aka slavery. Which, this is, so I talked about the story and I was like, my gosh, this is horrible. And once again, the first thing I said is, I sure as heck hope somebody on the state level, because I frankly do not trust the rural Kitson County Sheriff's Department to do a full investigation into themselves. I'm hoping someone in the state of Minnesota says, hey, how many people were staying at their place from 2002 to 2017? And did anybody go out there and see what the living conditions were like? But then the other thing that crossed my mind is, wait a second here. Servitude. Where did I remember a story about something weird about that? Oh, that's right. Speaker Mike Johnson. And not only Speaker Mike Johnson, but Matt Gaetz, too. Reminder, Speaker Johnson, when he came on the scene, there was supposedly a adopted black son who was only like 8 years younger than him, who was there, but he wasn't in any family painting portraits or anything like this. I mean, he didn't exist. There was like one picture with him in it, and they said, and he did apparently during the George Floyd crisis in Minneapolis, he did bring up, he had a black adopted son, and that he talked to him about, race relations. So there, he acknowledged this. This is not something that was, he's acknowledged he has supposedly a black adopted son, but he doesn't appear in any family photos. And that was something that people thought was kind of weird. And the fact that this adopted son was only a few years younger than Mike Johnson and quickly was shuffled off the no one gets to talk to him stage. There is a legit question I have about, was this, because this is something you hear about in the South, is indentured servitude, is under the guise of we've adopted or we're taking care of a black child. The reality is that black child is there to basically perform manual duty labors for the white family because they can't give up what they had. Let's just be honest. In some places in the South, they want to go back to this. Matt Gaetz got caught on this saying he adopted a black child who basically had a dad. So he wasn't adopted, and there was no evidence of paperwork, but he had this black man in his house who was doing manual labor jobs for him. And it seems to be that this is something that's going on in the South. There seems to be multiple people down there who seem to have adopted a black person or an incoming refugee. And they don't show up in any family photos. They don't show up in any of the major portraits, but they're there. We need to follow up on that, I think, a little bit more. I don't think there's been nearly enough of an investigation into exactly Mike Johnson's adopted black son, who, by the way, once again, he is frantically keeping away from the media at this point. Should be mentioned. Apparently, the guy lives now in Los Angeles with a family, and I'm going to guess the something to the effect of, here's a bunch of money, you live your life, and you never talk to the media ever again. Thank you very much. So there's that. I think we've kind of given a little bit of a pass to that one. I don't think we should be anymore. The other one that I want to bring up, the other story that I want to say, we need to go back and revisit this. Do you remember in 2021 that people getting vaccines, and then you'd see these weird videos of them clearly pretending to be twitching? Look, I got my vaccine and now I'm the twitcher and I twitch all the time and that's all I do. Videos circulating on Facebook. This is a story from 2021 and other social media reports show women shaking violently after receiving the coronavirus vaccine. That's right. We remember, like I said, I mean, I remember watching those videos and just saying, okay, this doesn't seem legit. The videos highlighted the cases of two people who say they received the different COVID-19 vaccines. They received different COVID vaccines, but they apparently had the same symptoms. The post was flagged as part of Facebook's efforts to combat false news. Not anymore, by the way. Zuck went over there and met with Donnie. While both women say the videos that they blame the shots for the conditions, experts have not verified the vaccines have caused. As a matter of fact, any research into this have shown that the vaccines did not cause the cause, and that they actually need to get to some community theater because their acting is pretty atrocious. Sean Skelton is an Indiana woman who claimed that she suffered from uncontrollable shaking after taking the first round of the Moderna vaccine. In one of her videos, the pink-clad Skelton is seen gyrating on a bench. She claims she received a vaccine on January 4th of Monday. By Thursday, I was full of convulsions. There's nothing that will convince me that this is not from the Moderna vaccine. Since her video was posted, she's been released from the Deaconess Orthopedic Neuroscience Hospital. Skelton said that an MRI, CT scan, and blood cultures yielded no results. According to her, because it does not pick up acting. I mean, that's MRIs don't pick up acting. Okay, they don't do that. PolitiFact reached out to Skelton on Facebook, hasn't heard back from her. The other woman is a Louisiana, said videos of a woman struggling to walk across a hospital setting because she's shaking violently. The woman is Angelia Gibson DeSalle of Louisiana, and many of the videos were promoted by her son, Brant Griner, who tagged his mother on Facebook when he posted them. Griner has also posted videos of himself responding to critics, which he's been viewed thousands of times. They reached out to them. They did not respond. They spoke to a reporter for 30 minutes on January 15th. He said, Mom was eager to get a COVID vaccine because she works at a medical center. She got it, and now she's got the shakies. But here we are. Now, I mean, we have long COVID. We have, there were some people that had minor problems, with the vaccine. My mother was one of them, but my mother will be the first one to say she gets all of her shots. She's not going to let one bad reaction to basically do it. Nor did my mom sit there and start twitching. That was not part of the deal. Are these people still twitching? I would like to know. Are these people still twitching? Because once again, their lives were ruined. They got the COVID shot and they're the twitchers. Are they still twitching? I think it'd be worthwhile. So when did you stop twitching? Was that when you realized that the cameras were no longer on you? Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's you're kind of hacks. I think we should follow up a little bit on that, just personally, just to embarrass the crap out of them. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
Rudy Luther Toyota has a great way for you to purchase your next vehicle. It's the Toyota Smart Path. You can shop at the dealership or on your couch. Shop smarter by saving time, and remember, they'll have the best prices and no surprises. You can browse the available vehicles, use the Smart Path payment estimator to customize your own payments, apply for financing, and then finalize your purchase. Smart Path is the smartest path to your new vehicle. Check it out online at rudyluthertoyota.com or stop by Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of Minneapolis on 394.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromenlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
For a decade, it's captivated Twin Cities audiences, and now the cultural phenomenon Glen Sheen returns. This captivating musical by Jeffrey Hatcher and Chan Poling features strong performances from a talented 7-member ensemble and Ron Peluso's brilliant direction. It's a limited engagement July 7th through the 25th at the History Theater in downtown St. Paul. Get tickets at historytheater.com. That's History Theater, spelled RE.com.
Do you have a loved one who is not receiving the care that they deserve at their current memory care facility? I'm Aiden Helene, Director of Community Relations here at the Welshire, and I meet with families every single day who are struggling with poor staffing, missed medications, poor personal cares, and an absence of engagement from consistent activities. 85% of our residents at the Welshire are coming from other memory care facilities that could not meet their care needs. Not all memory care is created equally. And if this is something your family is experiencing, I encourage you to come visit our community of well-being and see the Welshire difference, where we promise that your loved one will live with pride and dignity. The Welshire has 24/7 nursing, a robust activities team that provides activities 7 days a week. And when the diagnosis takes a 9-to-5 approach, so will we. Book a tour at welshiremn.com and see our community of well-being in action. That's welshiremn.com. Again, that's welshiremn.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I'd forgotten completely about the idiots that they said they became magnetized. God, Brett reminded me of that during
I was just thinking that wasn't that supposed to be the deal?
Yeah.
No.
I'm magnetized now. And I'll never forget. It was like, I think it was in Colorado, the city council meeting. She goes, watch this. And she places like a metal object on her head, takes her hand away, and it just falls off her head. And as someone put in the video, ta-da! And you and I talked about, you know how convenient it would be if I became magnetized? Hey, where are my keys at? Oh, here they are, right in my head. All right, there you go. I'll never lose them again. You're fantastic. If you got one near one of those big metal buildings, though, I mean, would you be stuck on it like it was Velcro? Letterman in the Velcro suit?
Well, if you had both symptoms, you might have trouble getting the keys on your head if your hand's shaking as you're trying to get it on.
But then you want to become magnetized because they'll stay there once you're there. I mean, yeah. Oh, you guys are so you think you're so clever, but there is nothing more funny than idiots that think they're clever. I mean, seriously, there's just nothing funnier because now, well, I never said it was real. Well, isn't that you on a video trying to put your keys against your forehead and they didn't stick? You see? Oh, it's matter of fact, speaking of idiots, let's talk about MAGA here for the last segment today of this hour. And namely, this new trend of MAGA to say, I regret my vote for Trump. I didn't know he was going to do that. Now, you did. That's like, I'll not bury the lead. You did know what he was going to do. You did do that. He said he was going to do it, and you went, yay! You did. That was you. You liked that. You love that. That was your yeah, you loved that. And so I'm a little perplexed at all you now all of a sudden say, well, I never wanted that. What you're saying is, I didn't realize he was going to do it that way, which is actually a far better question or point. It's like, I heard that he was going to trim the budget. I didn't realize that meant my Medicaid. Well, you should have known it meant Medicaid. He said he was going to cut Medicaid. He did multiple times during the election say he was going to cut Medicaid and make it leaner and work better. And what was the question that you guys did not ask during the election cycle? What is the simple question? How? I've had this conversation with MAGA righties over and over again who are now trying to say, well, I didn't want them to have ICE agents rounding people up in the streets like the Gestapo. How did you think this was going to happen? You never asked the question. You want to make it seem like you were more nuanced. Donald Trump was never talking with a scalpel. He was always talking with a sledgehammer, and that's why you voted for him. You liked the tough guy with the sledgehammer talk. And he said he was going to do all the things that he said he's going to do. So it's not that you didn't vote for this. It's that you dumb dimwits didn't ask the question, hey, maybe we should ask how he's going to cut the budget. Maybe we should ask how he's going to fix Medicaid. Maybe we should ask how exactly is he going to go after undocumented workers? You never asked that question. You just gave him carte blanche. That's on you still. Stop acting like you're victims. Stop getting mad at me. I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You voted for this. This is what you voted for. Don't look at me and act like, oh, well, I wanted him to cut the government in half, but I didn't want him to get rid of all the programs I like. Watching some guy who was a farmer. He supplies honey to the local school districts, and it was a grant program. They canceled it. He lost. That's half his income in any given year. Well, I didn't ask for that. Well, yeah, you did. You want a mulligan because you just heard him say, I'm going to do something. And at no point did you ask, how are you going to do that? You just loved it. That doesn't excuse you from your liability or culpability. I mean, it makes you just as liable and culpable. And it shows Trump, this Gallup poll that's out today, Gallup posted on Friday, when asked if immigration is generally a good thing or bad thing for the country, a record high 79% of the country calls it a good thing. A record low 17% see it as a bad thing. When they sit there and they talk about mandates, 17% of the country agrees with Trump on this immigration stuff. 79% don't. And the problem is the reason why, and these are record high numbers. And the reason why is because you never asked how. And all of a sudden now you're seeing farmers and dairies and meat processing plants can't find workers. You see kids getting ripped out of parents' hands. You're seeing almost lifelong American citizens who happen to be from a different country getting ripped out of their house as they garden in the front of their freaking house that they've lived in for 40 years. And all of a sudden you're realizing, wow, I'm horrible. And now all of a sudden you want, but I didn't vote for this. Yes, you did. And I'm glad you guys are waking up. But you should have asked the question beforehand and used those freaking brains as opposed to only voting for him so he could own the libs, own the libs, own the libs. And now you broke it. You're buying it. And I am not letting you off the hook. Other highlights of the poll showed 30% of Americans want immigration decreased, down from 55% a year ago. It also showed that's a pretty substantial demand. It was a majority issue now. Now it's not even a third of the country wants decreased immigration. It's also showing major waning support for Trump's border wall and mass deportation policy. Now, don't worry, those ICE Gestapo agents, they'll soon transfer over to disgruntled American citizens before too long. You'll love Alligator Alcatraz. It's going to be a delight. How? It's something I asked. And you guys said, you're scary to dial. Oh, those libs. Oh, those libs. And now you see the world coming crashing down around you. And all of a sudden it's like, I was more nuanced. No, you were dumb. And I'm glad you're waking up, but you were dumb. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you next week. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease. It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
It's Brad Friedman, your friendly investigative blogger, journalist, and host of the Bradcast on AM 950, KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News, I'm Haya Pinjwani. AP's Lisa Dwyer reports on a guilty plea by the son of notorious Mexican drug kingpin El Chapo.
Ovidio Guzman Lopez is the first of El Chapo's sons to enter a plea deal. Prosecutors allege that Ovidio Guzman Lopez and his brother, Joaquin Guzman Lopez, ran a faction of the Sinaloa cartel, formerly controlled by their father, El Chapo. Federal authorities say their operation sent a staggering amount of fentanyl into the United States. Ovidio Guzman Lopez originally pleaded not guilty, but has now pled guilty to drug trafficking, money laundering, and firearms charges. His father, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, is serving a life sentence after being convicted in 2019 for his role as the former leader of the Sinaloa cartel, having smuggled mountains of cocaine and other drugs into the United States for 25 years. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Amid more Russian strikes on Ukraine, the U.S. is urging its allies to send more American-made weapons to Kyiv. AP's Sagar Meghani.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says his nation desperately needs more Patriot air defense systems, and he's asking foreign countries to send them. The U.S. is on board, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio noting the systems are already deployed in NATO nations.
It's a lot faster to move something, for example, from Germany to Ukraine than it is to order it from a factory and get it there.
Rubio says Europeans could then order replacements from the U.S. to restore their stocks. His remarks come amid conflicting Trump administration signals about getting more vital military aid to Ukraine. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Ford is recalling more than 850,000 of its cars across the U.S. This is AP News.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in the parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
All right, Takis fans. Wendy's knows you love your Takis Fuego chips. So we thought, why not make a Takis Fuego meal with a Takis Fuego chicken sandwich with spicy chicken topped with crushed Takis Fuego chips and creamy corn spread. Plus, it comes with Fuego fries inspired by Takis and a bag of Takis Fuego chips. If we had any more heat, we might start an actual... I told him this would happen. For an intense new take on Takis chips, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Includes 1 ounce Takis Fuego chips while supplies last. Takis and Fuego.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community. And we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care.
It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly sunny skies today with a high near 86, tonight partly cloudy with a low around 65, and Saturday sunny with a high near 79. Since 1984, Cafe Latte has been a hotspot for American eats and desserts. Enjoy gourmet salads, sandwiches, and soups with a unique cafeteria-style setup. Don't miss the pizza and wine bar offering gourmet pizzas and over 30 wines by the glass. Explore the bakery for fresh treats. Located off Victoria and Grand, more at cafelatte.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Friday. Nice to have you with us today. Matt and Brett here. It is going to be a freaking nightmare. I'm going to actually get out of the city a little bit this weekend. I just Saturday, I'm going to do a day trip out to some of the parks west of here and go out and visit some of them. There's one or two that I have never been to and that I've always had on my list, and I am bringing tons of boat dope. I can already tell this is probably going to be a need. But yeah, it's going to go out to get out of the city a little bit, and I'm glad it's a good weekend to do so. There's just a mess on the roads. 6 miles of westbound 694 from New Brighton to Brooklyn Center will be shut down tonight at 10 till 5 a.m. Monday between 35W and Shingle Creek Parkway, which is right next to Highway 100. Yikes. That is a long stretch. The detour, wow. The detour will take you up 35W to 610, down US 10 to 610, and then southbound on Highway 169. Because if they send you down to 252, I mean, with the traffic lights, I would, if you're up in that part of the metro, I just don't anticipate, just stay in your house. just stay in your house this weekend. That a little my best suggestion for you at this point. The second problem here, getting from Minneapolis St. Paul 94 is already difficult because of the summer-long bridge repair project of the Mississippi River crossing. The eastbound lanes of 94 will be shut down tonight at 10 from 280 to 35E. The entire midway is shut down. Drivers are directed to use northbound Highway 280 to eastbound 36 to southbound 35E. God, that's just, you think you wait a second. You think 36 is going to be able to handle the traffic volume of 94? Wow. Why would you do both of these on the same weekend, man? 694 is your best option.
This sounds awful this weekend.
Oh, also in St. Paul, going to the east is not going to be easy. In St. Paul, northbound 35E will be shut down from Highway 5 to 94 from 10 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday. So Highway 5, is that down by the airport, right?
Yeah, if you're talking Highway 5, yeah.
Yeah. Highway 5. So 35E is close from the airport all the way into downtown St. Paul. How are you, if you've come in on a flight, how are you getting even into the east side of town? You're going to have to go 694 all the way over through Woodbury and come back in that way. God. Yikes. Yeah, or just start walking. I
mean, that's in addition to the usual 494 traffic. I know 394 is getting some construction. It's just...
it's gotten to the point where, on like Sundays at like 10, 494 is like it used to be, where if you're in the South Metro, it's like 10 a.m., there's traffic from like, it's like the oh God, what is it? Basically a little past 169 all the way over towards, because of the major construction project they're doing over there on Penn Avenue, the rebuilding of that interchange of 35W and 494. Bush Lake Road. That's where I was thinking about, from Bush Lake Road over that way. Yeah, you can't take the traffic reporter out of the man. And by the way, Metro Transit, and this is actually going to be huge because it's not this weekend. It's the yacht club thing. Are you doing the yacht club thing, going over the concerts over in St. Paul?
I am not this weekend, no.
Got a friend that got all 3 days, man. Nice. Enjoy yourself. That's not, once again, that's not this weekend. Thank God. It's next weekend. But Metro traffic will they're going to do maintenance on the Green Line at 10 p.m. Friday, continuing to 4 a.m. on July 21st. Crews are going to replace worn-out track and take care of other jobs between the Raymond Avenue Station and the Union Depot. Buses will fill in on the line, but trips will likely take longer, you think? The agency suggests riders traveling between downtown Minneapolis and St. Paul take Route 94. If it's open, that day, sure. Or use the Metro B line. That's the rapid bus line running Selby Avenue and Lake Street, then jumps onto the blue line from there. So yeah, just only 18 steps. See, a simple 18 steps and you'll be fine. That's going to be down, by the way. That's going to be down for the Yacht Festival. They're not going to have it fixed. I mean, I think it's like the Tuesday afterwards. And I get it. What they're trying to do is get all this stuff done before the state fair kicks in, because that would be a nightmare to try to do any of this stuff when the state fair is going on. But still, it's just, I mean, I live on the west side. Is there, I don't know if, even if I was going to go over to the east side, may I rethink that and say, you know what, I'll find something in another part of the metro, because I just don't want to mess with 2 hours of traffic to get anywhere.
I'm trying to think of a route you named that would take you east that isn't under some sort of construction right now.
494 in the South Metro, really past the airport is about it.
That's not exactly a fast commute either.
That's the scenic route. You're almost going to Wisconsin to go east. You're going to go, technically you're going to go too far east and then come back. You're going to go west. That's what you have to do. I mean, outside of city streets.
Well, 494 is under construction, he said, with Penn. Then I think Mendota Heights is under some construction too on 494 in that direction. So
you're right. So, okay. So let's just do the east. You know what the only option is? Crosstown. Because Crosstown, you could go, Crosstown, they changed the old 210 or 110 over to Crosstown. Yeah. So it's Crosstown runs all the way over, but that's literally the only, and it's not like that's already packed to the gills half the damn time anyway either. That's the only road that's going east or west that's not being worked on. 494 is being worked on, 94 is being worked on, 694 is being worked on, and 36 and 610 are alternate routes. Dear Lord, jeez. I'm sorry if you have like a wedding on the east side or something like that, or if you live on the east side and you're going to the wedding on the west side, just leave now. Get a hotel room, stay someplace on the west side of town. That's my best bet, because this is a mess. And like I said, I get it. You're trying to get all this done before the state fair. That makes some sense, but still, that is nasty. 952-946-6205. Did you ever go to Palmer's Bar when it was over on?
I never made that one. No.
I knew friends that loved that place. I never got over there. Well, actually, I think I did once. Nice enough place, kind of standard dive bar. I mean, that's kind of, there used to be a lot more of those in this town. There used to be a lot more of those. You don't see them as much anymore. And Palmer's is not long for this mortal coil left either. Minnesota Monthly's Jason DeRusha, who's a decent fellow there. I've had some interactions with him. He's a very nice guy. I like him a lot. Palmer's Bar, the boozy Minneapolis institution that's closing after 119 years on the West Bank, may have suffered serious financial injury due to the actions of its ex-owner. Late Wednesday, current owners Pat and Sarah Dwyer shed some light, writing on a Facebook post, "When we bought Palmer's, it was with a trusted partner that we'd worked with for over 18 years. In 2022, we discovered that trust and partnership was broken, leaving Palmer's in dire financial and operational straits. The Dwyers had purchased the place in 2018 with now former owner Tony Zaccardi." DeRusha published findings pulled from court documents filed by Zaccardi's now ex-wife in the 2023 divorce filing. She writes that without her knowledge of consent, Zaccardi recently relinquished the parties' marital interests in Palmer's to the Dwyers after they allegedly withdrew more than $379,364 from Palmer's business accounts and was not and has not accounted for the petitioner's concern using those said funds. So basically, this guy Zaccardi withdrew $379,364 from the business accounts, gave the bar to the Dwyer, said, "Your ball now," and no one seems to know where the money went. Minnesota Monthly notes that no criminal or civil lawsuits have been filed against Zaccardi, and that the publication isn't alleging any wrongdoing. The Dwyers declined to comment. Zaccardi could not be reached for comment. This is a 2023 video. He said, reflecting on his first year of sobriety from alcohol and cocaine addiction. I was losing people's trust. I have regrets, said Zaccardi. I don't know. You remember that? Wasn't it Schindler's comic book store and magazine store? Wasn't what they used to be one of the biggest businesses in town? And wasn't there a drug problem there? They got one of the guys that inherited. There was a drug problem or something like that, and they torpedoed them all. That was the end of that. I mean, I guess. Well, in this day and age, I mean, maybe they just were ahead of the curve by about 10 years. I mean, print is not necessarily there, but yeah, that was one that if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, and just if I am, apologies, but I could be wrong. Wasn't there something with debt induced to because someone had an addiction issue? I can't remember the exact story there, but that's not saying that's what happened here. But you have Zaccardi on a video saying, and it reflected on his first year of sobriety from alcohol, cocaine addiction. You are losing people's trust. I have regrets. You also have him withdrawing the money. It's not clear whether Zaccardi withdrew this money with the consent of the Dwyers. That's one thing that is kind of interesting. In that Facebook post from last night, the Dwyers write, during an exhaustive search to sell Palmer's to someone who'd keep it functioning as a historic bar, the commercial real estate broker kept hearing the refrain of hard pass from folks in the industry. The tavern venue is reportedly losing between $10,000 and $30,000 per month to remain open through September, a non-sustainable situation. The Dwyers write that they recently sold the building, and the one and only offer came from the community center next door. We may have failed in your eyes, and we promise you this has been the hardest decision we'll ever have to make, but the alternative was an orange sticker on the locked door with no notice to staff or patrons. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things. And once again, when they're there saying it was a trusted partner we worked for years, we discovered that trust of the partnership was broken. So the impression, at least I'm getting from this story, is that the money was withdrawn without them knowing, and he said, I'll just give you the bar. Well, in something of that nature, you can't do that. You're just not going to be able to survive that. So that's there. And also, this is, by the way, from the fine folks over at Racket. I did want to mention this as well. Racket talked about Dean Phillips. And, do you remember the other day when I talked about Democrats and how Democrats have changed and they're just not the same Democrats? Dean Phillips is like the epicenter of that. Would Dean Phillips have voted for FDR's brand new deal? No. I can't see Dean Phillips ever supporting FDR back in the Great Depression. I imagine I imagine back then Dean Phillips would have probably been a fairly right-wing Republican at that point. If you look back at the time and how things shifted so quickly after Hoover, most of the country were, most of the Democratic Party back then were Wellstonians. Basically they were definitely on the left side of the party. Dean Phillips, I don't think would have even been a Democrat back then. I think he would have been a conservative Republican. So no, I don't think he would have voted for for FDR's New Deal. I don't think Dean Phillips would have voted for the Civil Rights Act. This would be the speech. Not that he would be against all major tenets of it, but what he would say would be something to the effect of, well, we're jamming this down our Republican friends' throats. We shouldn't be doing that. We need to tone this down to make it a little bit more appetizing. I honestly think Dean Phillips wouldn't have voted for that. I don't think Dean Phillips would have voted for the Affordable Care Act. I don't think he would have under Barack Obama. That's how far this party has moved. This is more evidence of my thought process here. This is from the Racket. We all know there is nothing Phillips likes more than having conversations with his supposed ideological foes to prove his open-mindedness. His latest reach out the aisle, he'd be willing to chat with Mecha Hitler creator Elon Musk. Okay, that's not going away because that's actually something that happened. Mecha Hitler creator Elon Musk. he's willing to chat with Elon Musk, the creator of Mecha Hitler, about creating a third party. And in fact, I anticipate we'll be speaking after falling out with Trump. Musk has been toying with the idea of creating a viable third party. Now, when I think viable, I think Dean Phillips. Never mind. And even the Racket pointed this out. Kind of a weird thing to say after Musk's personally curated AI chatbot floated the idea of Holocaust 2.0. While Democratic leaders see anti-Semitism everywhere these days, they curiously have not condemned this and still happily use the platform. So is there anyone Phillips won't try to condemn? And by the way, I want to give things. If you are a Democrat, what the hell are you still doing on Twitter? Hey, fine. You want to keep it? It's your pet social media. You should be on Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram. You should be somebody place else. But the number of Democrats who are proudly number one Twitter, Mecha Hitler. And you guys are saying, oh, it's just fun. I haven't been on Twitter since the election, and I have no intention of going back. Because you know why? Because Mecha Hitler is there. Apparently, the Racket goes on to tongue-in-cheek ask the question. So is there anyone Phillips won't try to find common ground with? Mamdani, this is the winner of the Democratic primary in New York City. Dean Phillips says, is a grave threat to Democrats across the country. Phillips said earlier on CNN today, referring to the course of the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City, he singled out the idea of government-run grocery stores. Now, Mamdani has suggested a small pilot program to take place in food deserts. And if you don't know what that means, is we have them here in the Twin Cities too. There are low-income areas of our community where grocery stores will not open up. And so this is him trying to find some solution to that problem, which Dean Phillips misrepresented intentionally and clearly doesn't really give a rat's caboose about anyone in the inner city who doesn't have a grocery store anywhere nearby their house. Like I said, do you think he'd be voting for any major Democratic bills of the successes of the last 100 years? Of course not. He says his government-run grocery stores is out of step with nationwide Democratic voters. Asked flat out, is there room for you and Mamdani in the Democratic Party? Phillips replied, the answer ultimately, I think, is no. Mamdani, yay. Hey, Dean, you want to go with Mecha Hitler over there? Knock yourself out, man. That's where you want to snuggle up to. That's fine. But, dude, I don't think you're a Democrat anymore. You need to go. You know, you guys sit there. I don't know what is up with, and this is a lot of Democrats. And this is why I say the Democratic Party today wouldn't pass the brand new deal of FDR. They wouldn't pass the Civil Rights Act of Kennedy and Johnson. They would not pass the Affordable Care Act of Obama. They wouldn't do those things. And the reason why is because they've moved. It's a bunch of moderate Republicans that their own Republican Party, and they never were made to be Democrats. You didn't put any kind of litmus test that you had to be a Democrat to be a Democrat. And so now you've got this albatross of a party where, you know, the people that are there want to be more like Republicans. Well, then let them go. There are way too many Democrats right now who are screaming about Mamdani. Won't somebody think about the 500 or 600 billionaires in the city of New York? And not asking the question, how does a guy garner so much? I mean, it was a blowout. How? Because millions of people, your base, these moderate Democrats, they sit there and they say, who else you going to vote for? And finally, they find somebody who's not like them, and they treat that person. Dean Phillips is more upset with this guy than Mecha Hitler guy. Don't tell me I'm wildly out of base. That's it right there. He's a Democrat. He's ran as a Democrat. He won, and you want to just ignore the fact that millions of people voted for the guy because things are so bad in New York City that maybe, just maybe, he's resonating. Nope. You want to treat him as the worst thing, and you, Dean Phillips, want to snuggle up to Mecha Hitler guy. because I believe in talking to other people, unless it's another Democrat. Like I said, does anyone think that Dean Phillips would vote for any of those bills? Not a chance on the planet. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. That goes for Angie Craig, too, frankly. I'll be honest. I'll be blunt. I don't think she'd vote for most of those bills either. I'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on your Friday. I'll never forget. I was driving my Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, and I was hit at 35 miles an hour, rear-ended square flush. If not for the structural integrity of my Sienna, I wouldn't be here right now. There's a lot I can say about Rudy Luther Toyota, about their fantastic service department and their great selection, but being able to say your car saved my life is the best endorsement I can make. Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota are my highest recommendation. Get one today and tell them me, Matt McNeil, told you to stop on in. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The month of July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, Zero Res is offering a purchase of 3 rooms of carpet cleaned. Get 1 room free plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. Maybe you're having a barbecue for the 4th of July. We'll also have Aquatennial coming up in Minneapolis later this month. You want to make sure your home is fresh and clean for your friends and family coming over. In late March, muddy, crunchy, and kind of mysterious. It's time to call Zero Res, don't you know? These folks come in with their fancy schmancy ZR water. It's like regular water, but with a master's degree in cleanliness. Zero Res can handle it all. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, air ducts. Basically, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. So it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res today. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-0-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Back order forward spells the same. Zero Res.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. You want to sit down and chat with the guy who created Mecha Hitler, but the guy that wants to make sure that food deserts within urban areas actually have some options for food for needy people and hungry people. That's a bridge too far. Dean Phillips, folks, that is the epitome of what's wrong with the Democratic Party today. That's not a Democrat. That's not even a moderate Republican. That's like a straightforward Republican at this point. Oh, yeah. 952-946-6205. By the way, I'm still somewhat stunned. Today. And I saw this initially yesterday morning on Raw Story, and they were actually publishing someone else's version of this. This is like a blue justice is demanding that Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon, the Democrat, turn over the state voter rolls, according to a letter obtained by Democracy Docket. So this was one of those things where I was kind of like, wow, clearly what they're trying to do is they're trying to find ways. I mean, our elections in Minnesota run incredibly smoothly. They do. They absolutely run smoothly. This seems to me to be, there's always been this plan by the Republicans that when they finally burn all their bridges and they make themselves so unappetizing to even their own voters, well, they'll find a way to hold on to power, which doesn't include democracy at all. It basically, it's jackbooted thugs like Gestapo ICE, and it's controlled election outcomes. And without a doubt in my mind, they want this now, and they want the same information from Colorado and from Pennsylvania so that they can challenge the elections, get the elections, at least part of the voting rolls thrown out, or even going even further to basically throw out an election and just saying there's no election in Minnesota, we're done, those votes don't count. And what will be fascinating is these people will sit there and they'll say, well, the Democrat didn't really win the governor's race in Minnesota because we're going to negate this precinct and this precinct and this precinct and this precinct. But when it comes to the Minnesota 3 House race, it's going to be completely different districts. Oh, we're going to negate this precinct and this precinct. I mean, that's where they're going to go with this. I mean, that's at least the impression I get from them. So it would seem to me, especially when, once again, we have high participation, we have relatively low problems with our elections. These elections run very smoothly. What is going on? So it's been a stunning thing to me, that the local media, nobody has picked up the story. What's that sound? Oh my God. Did a news outlet actually pick up the story? They did? Wow, that only took 48 hours. U.S. Department of Justice from the Star Tribune has asked Minnesota election officials to provide the state's voter registration list and other election data to show proof of compliance with federal election law. The letter sent on June 25th. It is Minnesota Secretary of State Steve Simon asked for the response within 30 days. They also made similar requests in Pennsylvania and other data requests as well. Now, Arizona, Colorado, Wisconsin. The spokesperson for Simon's office declined to comment beyond saying that it has not yet responded to the DOJ's request. In the letter, the DOJ asked state officials for information on more than a dozen different points, including how deceased voters and people who've left Minnesota are removed from rolls, how its voting systems are made secure. Aha! So how do I break into this machine again? Thanks. The letter is part of a shift in the agency's election division away from long-held rule that protecting access to voting. Instead, officials are addressing concerns they have been raised by conservative activists for years and conspiracy theorists following false claims surrounding elections. In March, Trump issued a sweeping executive order overhauling election operations in the country. Once again, elections are run by the states, not by the federal government. That's the problem. The voting systems in Minnesota and other states have never been more secure and accurate than they are today, said David Becker, who served as lawyer for the DOJ's election division under Bill Clinton and George W. Bush administrations, now runs a nonpartisan Center for Election Innovation and Research. Minnesota election officials use best practices like paper ballots after election audits and a secure statewide voter registration database. Voters should feel very good about the integrity of Minnesota's elections, despite any claims by any losing candidate or anyone else. Becker also said the DOJ does not have the legal right to access some of the data it wants. No federal law requires states to provide the federal government with its voter registration lists, Becker says. You need to go tell them that because that's what they want to give. And remember, this is the same party that gave away, before they found out if it was legally viable, all the personal information of every American to Elon Musk. You know, Mecca Hitler guy. Minnesota also is exempt from some parts of the federal voting laws, Becker said, because it already had same-day registration when Congress passed the motor voter law in 1993. It's really unusual and frankly concerning. The Department of Justice, who's charged with enforcing the federal laws, wouldn't know that, Becker said. The conservative legal group is currently suing Minnesota to end that exemption. One of the DOJ officials, Maureen Royden, who signed the letter for Simon, until recently worked for that same legal group. Rightos Are Us. No, that's not it. It's a public interest legal foundation. That's what. Hey, it looks like what they're trying to do is throw out the election. We're going to negate every vote in the 7-county metro area in Duluth and Rochester. Oh, and look, Republicans overwhelmingly won the state. What about the races in those areas? We'll install some Republicans in there until we can prove that we can have safe elections. We'll have installed Republican representing those areas. You don't think that's what they're freaking trying to do? You are freaking crazy. Because like I said, they know when their bill really hits the fan, a lot of their base is not going to be there, because all of a sudden they're going to realize, hey, wait a minute here. Donald Trump really wasn't for me, the guy making $35,000 living in a trailer out in the middle of rural America. He was only in this for the billionaires. And see, don't get me wrong, there's always going to be some MAGA people that you can walk in on Trump having sex with your spouse and you'll say, darn Democrats. There'll always be that. But yeah, they're trying to find a way to throw out the Minnesota election and install Republican Uber lords. Yep. I wonder how long till the Republican Party comes up with that 3/5 option. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Come on back. The Matt McNeil Show on your Friday.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners that use social media. Do you want an authentic way to connect with people in your life? Something more meaningful? Thousands of people just like you know that when it matters, count on Minuteman Uptown for custom quality digital prints. From Canva creations to self-published books, from business cards to banners and signs, we print everything. Find more information at mpuptown.com. Contact Minuteman Uptown today, and we'll help you connect to what matters.
For a decade, it's captivated Twin Cities audiences, and now the cultural phenomenon Glen Sheen returns. This captivating musical by Jeffrey Hatcher and Chan Poling features strong performances from a talented 7-member ensemble and Ron Peluso's brilliant direction. It's a limited engagement July 7th through the 25th at the History Theater in downtown St. Paul. Get tickets at historytheater.com. That's History Theater, spelled R-E.com.
This is Alex Knorr from Buzz Cut Mowing, a young, hardworking entrepreneur serving the Southwest Metro with affordable lawn care. I take the hard work off your plate with weekly mowing. I also offer leaf cleanups, aeration, dethatching, tree trimming, and mulch installation. I'll keep your lawn beautiful so you can enjoy your weekends with the people who matter most. Visit buzzcutmowingmn.com. That's buzzcutmowingmn.com.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for partly cloudy skies tonight with a low around 65, Saturday sunny with a high near 79, and Sunday sunny with a high near 87. Since 1984, Cafe Latte has been serving up the freshest baked goods and modern comfort food in a cafeteria setting. Their menu is prepared with the best ingredients available. Cafe Latte is a leader in sustainable dining, composting their food and paper waste along with recycling everything they can. More at cafelatte.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. I do want to make sure I mention we have a certain fella named Greg Bakken coming up with Ghostbox Radio a little bit later on. It's Casual Friday, listener call-ins. So ghost stories and question of the week. How many times have those ghosts been unmasked as Farmer Jenkins? Aha! There's a reason why Greg will not let me near his show in the 10 o'clock hour. It is better because of it. I'll be honest with you. Greg is fantastic. Ghostbox Radio, Friday night. It's perfect Friday night radio listening. Ghostbox Radio, 10 o'clock tonight. And, of course, Native Roots Radio is right after my show. Love those guys. It's my privilege to be their lead-in. Native news that you're just not going to find anywhere else. Native Roots Radio that's coming up here after my show. And, of course, make sure your Patty's here as well in the evening. So it's good stuff, man. Just where are you going? Stick around. It's good stuff. 952-946-6205. So I want to talk a little bit about jail. And I think we get these views of Alligator Alcatraz that is out there. that is, let's obviously kind of terrifying. You see people being kept in subhuman conditions, and it's kind of hard to imagine, and that's why they have to. Everyone, it's not a hairdresser, it's not some guy's husband who has been, or some woman's husband who's been farming crops for the same family for 45 years. They're all hardened criminals that have been injecting meth right into babies' faces. That's kind of their argument. To treat them badly, you have to create them as this kind of uber villain, and that's why they're doing what they're doing. I'm not saying that there aren't some people that are pretty bad people. I mean, I think there are a lot of people that deserve to go to jail because they've done things that have been bad. I've talked about this. Remember the trigger men in that one murder where they basically, because they were juveniles, they basically were given juvie, and then they're going to be sent home for DoorDash and Netflix at home. That doesn't seem like a punishment to me. I also have been very critical after, especially my drunk drive, that I was hit by a drunk driver and my back was broken, that you find out, well, they really are not going to, for them to take it seriously, they have to kill you. And even then, it generally is 2 to 3 years, 4 years max. And that doesn't seem to be taking it seriously. I bring this up for a few reasons here. I had coffee with a friend about 4 or 5 months ago, and we were talking, and she has unfortunately had to deal with a stalker, and a bad one. Finally, the individual got some prison time, and she had been put through hell. I mean, really, it was really tough, and so it finally got into serious enough to where there was some prison time involved. And she was talking about this, and she said, and the good news is now he's locked up, and so he's locked up a little bit. I mean, and I said, well, no, he's being punished. You know that, right? She said, what do you mean? She goes, well, you know what happens in prisons today. Prisons aren't as we interpret them as, like Escape from Alcatraz with Clint Eastwood, where, there's just very limited, interaction. Most of these are kind of community rooms, and there's very little, there doesn't seem to be much oversight. The food is atrocious in there. I mean, it's bad. And once again, I mean, you can sit there and say, hey, well, then don't commit crimes. And I can buy that. I can understand that. But also it should be noted that anyone that goes into prison, there's a decent chance they're being beaten on a pretty consistent basis. We're talking 2 or 3 times a week at least, and probably sexually assaulted as well, 2 to 3 times a week. That's what our prison system is. So when you send him to prison, and once again, I'm not saying that this guy broke the law. She wanted to feel safe. That's what's in store for this individual. And, we can have a discussion on whether or not that's what we want our prison system to be. I personally don't. I think you can lock these people up in their cells, have more oversight of what's going on, and not turn it into some sort of zombie apocalypse group scene every freaking time, and still feel as if we're handing down punishment. I mean, that's just the thing. I have a friend whose dad went to jail. I don't know. I got some suspicions on why, but I don't know why. Middle-class guy, lived in the suburbs, broke the law, went to jail. The son was having to put $1,000 into his store account every 2 weeks, because he was needing that money to buy off the people that were trying to kill him, would kill him and violently attack him. He was beaten on a fairly consistent basis. He was assaulted on a fairly consistent basis. And once again, you can say to yourself, yeah, well, that's what you get. Well, I think we should have a prison system. If we're going to lock people up, we should have some level of it not devolving into the worst of us, but that's just the case. That's what happens. That person is going to go to jail, and it is going to be a miserable experience. And not every prison's like that. I mean, you go to these federal prisons, it seems to be a little bit more control. And county jails and stuff like that generally can, those are touch and go depending on the county system that they have. But we're talking about prisons within a state system. It's pretty horrible. I mean, it's pretty horrible. This friend whose dad went into prison, like I said, I have some suspicions of what happened there. But the mentality was, and it wasn't here in the state of Minnesota, the mentality is we're locking you up for life. We're locking you up for life. And this was the thing. He was never going to get out. One day he gets a call. He said he's been violently beaten. And because he was violently beaten, he had a stroke. And so we're going to give him emergency, an emergency medical pardon, and medical release. And they released him. Why? Did he not commit the crime which you guys were proudly saying we're going to lock him up for life? No. They didn't do that. They wanted him gone because suddenly now, after their system had this guy beaten into a point of a stroke, now he needed a lot of medical attention. And the prison system does not want to pay the money for that. And so suddenly now, the person who was put into the prison, who was beaten into a stroke, suddenly the same guy that was going to be locked up for life and never see the light of day, well, all of a sudden it's going to cost you a bit of money to hold him in there because your system basically allowed him to be beaten into a mentally compromised state. Well, now all of a sudden we're going to release him back into the society. See, that's the thing. We because of these contractors, they're not monitoring the prisoners. They don't have the manpower. They're not giving them any kind of decent food because it's cheaper to give them the maggot infested food. And their mentality and sadly our mentality as a society is, well, so a few prisoners are getting beaten. A few prisoners are being sexually assaulted. What's the big deal? And that's how we get to where we're at today. But we have to be careful about the corporate jail industry and their desire to not spend money, because in this case of this story that came out this week, and I've been trying to get to this week, and I finally am going to get into this a little bit here. We're going to create far more problems if they are not forced to follow along with these rules. And then we're basically going to just it should not be something where because they want to pinch some pennies, they create an unsafe environment to where either someone else within that prison gets injured or attacked or killed, or the individual gets injured or attacked and killed, and then basically, we're going to release them now. Because the system is getting really broken. A new law that requires Minnesota jails to give people access to their previously prescribed medications has been temporarily suspended in response to a lawsuit from the Minnesota Sheriff's Association. Advocates for the mentally ill and incarcerated people are now firing back. The lawsuit seeks an injunction arguing that the Larry R. Hill Reform Act would require medical professionals to use medication that could be harmful or fatal to inmates. Now, once again, I want to make sure we understand. That seems to be, the lawsuit seems to be basically trying to exaggerate this. These are previously prescribed medications, and that if you go to jail, that you have access to your prescriptions that you had. They're saying no, that we shouldn't be responsible for that. And then they're once again vilifying beyond vilification. It could be harmful or fatal to inmates. Well, not if you're administering the drugs to the individuals as prescribed. Sheriff, county companies, and that provide health care in jails and doctors they employ also signed on to the suit. Advocacy organizations say the alternative is dangerous. Too often, individuals with mental health illnesses are denied the medications they need, and then the sheriffs wonder why they decompensate or even die. Said Sue Aderholden, an executive director for the National Alliance of Mental Illness Minnesota, in a press release. For example, jail is hardly the place to make changes to an antipsychotic treatment. Agreed. Jails and prisons are among the nation's biggest facilities housing the mentally ill, who often receive care from private for-profit companies that are eager to cut costs. MEND Correctional Care, one of the largest providers of healthcare in Minnesota jails, went bankrupt in 2022 after several lawsuits alleged that its services led to preventable deaths, aka they weren't giving service. The act was named after Larry Hill, who died in Hennepin County Jail after not receiving his medication. The bill was passed after efforts from Minnesota groups seeking to impose health care access in jails. It was included in the public safety bill signed by Governor Walz in May. So this came in there with probably some Republican support. The legislation includes exceptions for if an incarcerated person states in writing they don't want to take the prescribed medication, or a healthcare professional consults with doctors who prescribed it and they determine it is no longer needed. Once again, 100%. Okay, fine. I'm perfectly good with both of those outs. I think this is a good bill. The suit argues that these exceptions require getting in contact with outside health providers who may be difficult to reach or unaware for the current condition of the patient. Oh, for God's sakes. They have business hours, right? The provision of the new amendment do not allow medical providers caring for inmates to exercise their professional judgment regarding the appropriate medication that a patient needs time of incarceration, because you guys are looking at your jail corporate CEO's profit margins and executive bonus as your priority. And as John Oliver on Last Week Tonight numerous times has pointed out, you actually have point systems for denying healthcare coverage, denying prescriptions. This is basically saying and by the way, can I just say this, sheriffs and all you people, what the F is wrong with you? Of course this is a good idea. We do not have proper medical treatment facilities in this state or in this country to deal with the mental health crisis that we have. So we lock these people up in prisons. And the best way for us to prevent that from devolving even more than it already does is to give the people with mental health issues the proper medications so that either they don't end up dead or someone else doesn't end up dead. This seems like a freaking common sense thing. And you're like, well, the medications might be bad. And you mean we got to call a doctor out of our office, and your step down from a Target Minute Clinic medical professional you have in your prison facility basically saying, I read something in a pamphlet once about this drug and I don't like it, doesn't seem like the person. If you have a pre-existing prescription, it should be accounted for in the system. And this just seems to me like what you're trying to do is find a way to cut costs to the nth degree. Kelly Moeller, the Democratic co-chair of the Public Safety Commission and the bill author, Representative Jess Hansen, released a statement in response to the lawsuit saying the bill received bipartisan support. There was no testimony opposing it in committee. No one who goes to jail should have to worry about if they're going to become permanently disabled or die without access to the medication their doctor prescribed them. But apparently the sheriffs think that that's treating them too kindly. And the corporate prisons feel as if that's wait a second, that's just being too nice to these people. We should have a bigger discussion about the prison system because it's pretty atrocious. And I'm not saying, once again, people that commit crimes should go to jail. But when you look at the conditions, because it's a corporate venture and there's profit margins now involved in the prison system, you cannot deny that the quality of these institutions has degraded down to sewer gladiator fight zone with rotting food, constant beatings, constant sexual assaults, and now you don't want to give the people who need medication. Like I said, in the case of a friend of his dad, it was clear the reason why they got rid of him wasn't because he hadn't committed a crime, but was because it was too expensive to keep him. And if that little scenario doesn't show you how broken the system is, and the fight here to say, nope, we don't want to give these people medication, even if it's been prescribed, well, this is only going to get worse. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Take a break, come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Friday.
Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez.
Time and time again, we hear, well, history will not be kind. I don't care anymore about history. I care about the pain and damage and decimation that people do in real time. You know what? History's not kind to Adolf Hitler, and yet here we have people wearing swastikas again because they want to erase history. So who cares? You know what I mean? I'm a historian, and I am losing my ever-loving mind.
That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weeknights at 9 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shambot Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at ShambotFamilyDentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. The month of July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and because of that, Zero Res is offering a purchase of 3 rooms of carpet cleaned, get 1 room free, plus $50 off an air duct cleaning. Maybe you're having a barbecue for the 4th of July. We'll also have Aquatennial coming up in Minneapolis later this month. You want to make sure your home is fresh and clean for your friends and family coming over to celebrate. If your carpet's looking more like a snowbank in late March, muddy, crunchy, and kind of mysterious, it's time to call Zero Res, don't you know? These folks come in with their fancy schmancy ZR water. It's like regular water, but with a master's degree in cleanliness. Zero Res can handle it all. Carpets, tiles, rugs, upholstery, air ducts, basically every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. So it's time to call the cleaning pros at Zero Res today. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com or call 952-ZERO-RES and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
And once again, I want to just make sure I say for the record, I believe we have to have jails. We have to have prisons. There are people out there that break the law. And this is not about, getting out there and saying that shouldn't exist. It just is, first of all, we have to acknowledge this is basically, most prisons right now in this country have degraded down to a gang run, violent beating exercise. And that anyone say you even a person that commits like a white collar crime that goes to prison, they're getting beaten up on a fairly regular basis. They're probably getting sexually assaulted on a regular basis, and they're being fed, substandard food that we wouldn't even give to animals because we have standards about that. And they get denied medical coverage and they get mistreated. And now we have another situation where they can't even have the prescriptions they were prescribed before they went into prison. There's nothing wrong with having jails and prisons. It just is this really what we want? Is this dirty, hairy, make them suffer sort of thing? Because if you see what's actually going on inside these places and you think that that's the way it's going, there's something, I think people that look at that and say, oh, it's perfectly fine are the same people that like to throw rocks at squirrels when they were kids. It is really it's ugly. And like I said, this is not about saying people should get paroled to this. I think we just should have some basic standards about how we keep people in prison. One final little note here on a completely unrelated subject. The special election has been set into place for the vacant Minnesota House rep seat of former Representative Speaker Melissa Hortman. Governor Walz announced today that special election for 34B will be held on September 16th. If needed, a special primary vote will take place on August 12th. Interested candidates must file paperwork with the State of Secretary of State's office between July 15th and 22nd. Christian Erickson, a Brooklyn Park City councilor, announced his candidacy on July 7th. I'm with many emotions. I'm announcing my candidacy for the seat. So there you go. That will be in place. And once again, in September, they'll have that special election. Native Roots Radio is up next. Once again, remember Greg Bakken and Ghost Box Radio tonight at 10. Have a fantastic weekend. We will be back here on a Monday. Until then, see ya.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best